talk.
So, Matt, you're telling me about. Go ahead and tell me a little about your story about the shifts in the last year, about the fact of you being on dialysis, your mindset, the fact of doctors telling you to do certain things, and you just having that strong mindset. Why don't you go ahead and talk a little about that?
Well, I guess the primary motivation is to stay around, for my children, and I need to take whatever steps to make sure that happens. And I realize that your health is probably like some people like try to make money and everything, but I figure that you should be more focused on your health, and that's the greatest asset you could probably have. So I'm just going to try and take the steps I need to get to where I need to be.
And one thing that I've noticed, and I think the reason why Matt and I have known each other a long period of time, I think people complicate their health so much, and being healthy has nothing to do with information. If you go ahead and take doctors are the ones that give us information about food, but professional boxers live longer than doctors do. Yes, doctors are a great use of information, and I network with a lot of doctors, but I think it's also important that each one of us is of a service, and each one of us takes ownership in our own health. Me personally, I eat whatever I want, but I spend many, many hours in a mindset of being able to do that, and I know it's a give and take. So some things that may work for me may not work for you. So there's certain shifts that I'll ask you to do, and it's just going to be a simple thing that you do, not something that you take, read this book on Atkins, do all this. It's just going to be simple shifts that you can make over time. Can you go ahead and tell us about dialysis and what your experience is with it?
Well, initially, it was quite a shock when I first, matter of fact, I refused to do it, and they pretty much had to force me to go on it. And I really struggled the first, several years. It just was, like a life-changing, event, and I was very, very sick. I'm surprised I made it. I had pneumonia. My bones got weak. Started fracturing things. I fractured my pelvis. I was admitted into the hospital 2 to 3 times a year for several times. I fell and busted my knee. So it really struggled, but I think the turning point was like in 2007. I had my thyroid removed, and parathyroid, and I slowly, my energy levels, came back, and I was like, whoa, I did my own research, and how I could get healthier, and one thing was definitely getting off prescription medicines the doctors were prescribing, because they were killing me. And now I take very few prescription medicines. I think at one point I was on 12 to 15 different medications.
And who made the decision to do that?
I made it. I went to the library, did some research, because there were some issues with the transplant about my heart, and it was they basically said that you may not survive the operation. So I went and looked at some things with heart rejuvenation, and I started doing 2 simple things food-wise: onions and apples. And I went to barely being able to breathe or walk up and down stairs to now I can pretty much go for long walks, whereas before I could never do it. So you definitely have to take a proactive stance in your own health. Whatever your health, your personal finance, whatever, if you are leaving someone else to do that, you may come up on the short of the stick. So I would definitely say you have to take a proactive stance in your own life. I plan on being around to see my daughter get married and see them graduate from college, and all that. I think that's what keeps me going now, just being involved daily with my kids, watching them grow up, being able to attend their volleyball, basketball games. That's what it's all about. So and plus there's a lot of things that I still want to do yet. So
Can you share a couple of
You know, I like to travel. There's some places I like to go. You know, I like to go to Italy. I like to go to, and right now, you know, it'd be difficult with the dialysis to do any type of long range traveling. So, you know, I'd like to go to China. You know, I like to go to Africa. You know, I'd like to, you know, make some money and be able to give back and help people. You know, I've always felt very fortunate. You know, not necessarily coming from a family with a lot of money, but I've always, you know, lived a life of privilege. You know, I got to do a lot of things, go to private schools, you know, meet people that I never would have otherwise met. So, you know, I'd like to, you know, maybe sometime give back. You know, I'd like to give scholarships to kids in inner city schools. You know, so I mean, there's a lot of things I like to do. You know, I like to get back with the career I had. You know, there's a lot of things I like to do.
Okay. So obviously you're a giver, and you want to be in a place that gives more. But the most important thing is that we focus on Matt, and not the Matt that everybody sees on an everyday basis, but the new Matt that's going to attract all that life and all that energy that you want.
Yeah, that's it. Wrap this up.